I've realized that we all have a part to play in terms of creating the jobs that is needed for the youth and also for the better future of the African child. And let us all resist negativity, which is obviously one of the biggest challenges I believe is facing South Africa. We have currency challenges, we have infrastructural deficit, corruptive practices, counterfeit, you name it, it's here. God has given us a lot of resources. What have we done with it? Optimism, talking about what you've achieved, gives people patience to wait. Women are the key. Because when you go to all the shops, you sit and you observe, it's our mothers, our sisters, that control the money. South Africa since 1995 has remained the most industrialized, despite all the challenges. More females are entering the procurement aspects of supply chain profession. Strategic sourcing for Africans is about price chiseling. Let's go and squeeze the supplier. And we need to change that narrative, because when you price chisel, you are killing the SMEs. When you go to the shops, you just pick, you look at the price, you don't tend to see where you are buying it from. This is what has happened to the textile industry. Let's assume Africa is poor. There's 1.1 billion people. Only 500 million can afford to wear underwear. Even if the underwear is $1 per underwear, that is 500 million US dollars. Times that by 15, currently 7.5 billion. That will be separating in Africa. You can't wear one underwear. You have to have 4 or 5. You multiply that by 5. That is money that is going out of the continent. Just imagine all the military personnel in Africa. They were sourcing their hat, their boots, their attire from somewhere in the continent. Most likely maybe in the from the Cape Town industry. The job that it will create for South Africans. Strategic sourcing is about, in a developing context, buying for value for money. It might be a bit hard, but it doesn't matter. Because in the end, those SMEs might get economies of scale. Right now, SMEs are not growing because everything is determined by price. It's a developmental tool in a developing economy. We are duty bound to basically look at where it's coming from and support local. And by local, I don't mean South Africa. See Africa as a block. You are investing in your child's future, because that is how you create the jobs that is needed for the future generation, and that is how you industrialize. Government sector, has it helped with the industrialization? No, because we are industrializing other countries. The boots, the uniforms, military equipment, you name it. Most of it is coming from outside the continent. We consume a lot of medication in this continent, but the source is coming from outside. It's not about price squeezing. When you price squeeze, you are de-industrializing. Most of these things are coming from outside the continent. So as a continent, we export even more currency to go and bring these things back. There's nothing wrong with globalization, please don't get me wrong. And China, they saw a gap. They saw that we like cheap things. And they use it to industrialize. Government wants us to learn Mandarin. And I'm saying, but hang on. Why shouldn't we be learning Zulu or Swahili? Why should we cross the ocean to go and learn Mandarin when there's a 1.1 billion people sitting next door? Yes, we might be poor, but we still eat. We still get malaria. Somebody is feeding that market. But if you don't understand the cultures, how do you sell to the economic of scale? Is the market next door. Once you start feeding into your factories here, you'll be able to reduce the prices and compete with our Chinese and our Indian colleagues. They've done nothing wrong, they saw an opportunity and they grabbed it. You know, in Africa we have a shop called Mr. Price. Why? Because they know you are price conscious. It started off with clothing, now into furniture. Very soon it will be healthcare. Right now there's too much people unemployed, and their pride. You know, we wake up in the morning, just have to look in the sky. It's not right. The battle for the soul of the chicken drumstick. And people are working in these value chains, they are going to lose their jobs because you want cheap Kentucky Fried Chicken. Africa is a complex environment, but believe me, if the Chinese are able to cross the ocean and come and do business, I don't see why South Africans you cannot. I have concerns with this proudly South African. Now you have proudly Kenya, you are proudly Ghana. We are all trying to protect our boundaries. There is poverty in Africa, my colleagues, but we are not poor. We've got a lot that we can use. Poverty is not an accident, as Madiba said. It was created by us and we can change it. The African child is not just black like me. Whites are also there. Indians, we are all in this together.
What happens when you produce and buy locally? None of us want to end up in a wasteland, operating in a wasteland of imports. Basically, everything that government procures needs to be procured 100% locally. Rather pay more per unit from a South African supplier than buying a cheaper product from India.
The problem still is we're sitting with a resource, everything gets exported, beneficiation mostly takes place there, we import the finished goods. Why can we not develop local industry?
We have an enterprise and supply development program which is actually aimed at accelerating the growth of the pool of black companies that supply into the core business. The successful African continent will actually make it relatively easy for South Africa to achieve its economic and transformation objectives.
China wants to do business. China, if we go and negotiate rather than bargaining, China is prepared to set up the factories in Africa. But we go and we bargain, we beg. And when you beg, you don't get what you want. I've always said that there's no free money. But we need to define our own parameters. You sit in your house, somebody comes to you and say, move your furniture here. Thank you.
I just came back from Malawi in Longwe, stayed in a very nice hotel, fantastic conference center. It was built by our Chinese colleagues, and I spoke to people there. There was very little skills transfer. The interesting thing, if you go in your room, even the remote, it's Chinese, so you don't know if the temperature is 48 or 2. We should be smarter in doing business with it, because they need us just as much as we need them.
In many instances in smaller countries, governments lack, or government departments lack, the institutional capacity to negotiate smartly.
Industry produces what the consumer wants. Consumers determine what industry produces. But when it comes to determine what drives industrialization, is the front end. We feed the factories, the supply chain. So industry needs to be given the opportunity through demand so that they can produce quality. I believe in intervention, but no socialism. Farmers in the European community, are they not subsidized? How do you compete with a subsidized farmer? Here, we don't subsidize our farmers.
One of the reasons why China is able to compete, and I use the steel industry as an example, is because it's a heavily subsidized industry. We don't want to have protection so that we become uncompetitive in what we produce and supply. But state intervention is a key lever. There's a lot that needs to be done in terms of basically delivery and monitoring and evaluation.
We have an organization called SUFO, State-Owned Enterprises Procurement Forum. Most of these state-owned companies report into the DPE, so that will actually give us the leverage that we want to be able to influence the decisions ultimately in the boardrooms. And obviously that also means we must invest a lot of money in the development of those emerging or small black companies with potential. The people that are supposed to monitor the effective implementation of these policies are inadequately equipped with the skills to do that.
Somebody that can buy an item in his private capacity buys it for 2,000 rand, and if he goes through government procurement, that same item he pays 5,000 rand for. So what happens to that 3,000 rand? So I think totally ineffective corruption is definitely a major issue. We cannot get away from that. People don't necessarily want to be corrupt or whatever, it's just because they don't know better.
When are we actually going to move from strategy to execution? That's a fundamental issue here.
Politicians are at most times criticized for being corrupt, which is true. On the other hand, business is mostly criticized for not wanting to transform. How are we going to close this divide, which needs a value shift from both sides?
We need people who are very strong economically, who will actually be preaching the importance and the integrity of the economy rather than the political vote.
South Africa can become the California of Africa. It's just a mindset change that is needed. The market next door cannot be ignored. There is social re-engineering that needs to happen, but it's up to us, and especially the women that control the household budget that can do it.